we're going to close on a high note today. We're going to talk about spring housing market forecast. This is coming in from HousingWire. More inventory and rising sales. This is really kind of more of a shorter one today because we've been talking about inventory. We know it's happening, but I really wanted to go over a couple of things that they're citing here. And again, this is all coming from accessible data on what's actually happening in the market. Sellers are coming back. Number one, new listing volume last week was 18% more than it was this same week a year ago. Woo. And I know that is always a little bit wonky because you go, well, wait till next week. It's only 5% higher than the previous week.
Anything will be better than last year, though.
Anything will be better than last year. Total inventory is gradually climbing about 1% per week. I'm impressed with that. 1% per week is really good. And last year at this time in April, it was declining. So we went from a declining market as far as inventory to now an increasing market where inventory is gradually increasing about 1% per week. And then I saw down here, maybe it was the next page, there have been, where was it? There was 20 straight weeks of increased inventory.
Oh,
so
that's good.
Yeah, that is also a really good sign because now you see month over month over month over month. You get 20 straight weeks of let's say a trajectory. That is definite indication of a trend change. And that trend change, I think, is going to be for the better.
Yeah, no, that's really good as well because what I also saw that they stated is that people are looking for, stable rates, not low rates. And I like that because people can't afford higher rates, but it's just about what that plays out for them in their life. So if that's affordable to them at that level, it doesn't matter if it's a 3%, 4%, 5%, as long as it's affordable for them and it's stable. I think with more inventory coming out, that's going to be less of a problem.
It's a great point, and I'm glad you said that. Actually, I was listening to Tom on PBD. I love Tom.
Shout out Tom
on PBD.
Biz
shout
Doc.
out.
He's a beast.
The Biz Doc. He had a great point. He's like, historically mortgage rates are at 4.5, historically mortgage rate at 5.5 to 6.5 has been like tremendous over the long course of time, 30, 40, 50 years. Now, I understand the prices have changed and the affordability landscape. I understand all the things that have changed. So before you get in the comments, this has changed. I know it's all freaking changed. But the point is that when rates are between 5.5 and 6%, 6.5%, that's historically a good place to be.
Yeah.
To Brian's point in the past, I don't know how many times you said this, get in the market, and then when the market goes in your favor, that's icing on the cake. It's it's monthly savings to you to refinance down lower. Yeah, but I'm starting my loan over again. Yeah, but da-da-da. Okay, yeah, but when someone's $100,000 in debt, their house paid it off. Yeah, but
doesn't
when they
matter
need to
if
pay
you're
for
getting
their
back
kids
in
to
debt.
go to college, the house paid for it. So I'm just going to lay up those couple things as evidence that people who are disciplined have done it and they've made it work to their favor. But keep your eye on this 5.5 to 6.5% range. I think that's where we're going to land. I think inventory is going to like that. I think the market's going to like that. The Fed definitely wants to see that. And if the Fed's going to start dropping rates at some point this year, they're not going to go too far.
No, and I think that's a healthy place. And I know it's like some people might still be a little bit too elevated, but I think in the long term, that's a good place for us to be at for a little bit until we start seeing things gradually come down even more to levels that we're like, okay, inflation's kind of tapered off.
And so inventory, I think, is going to help people feel more confident in the stability of the market long term because there was a lot of people shouting from the mountaintops that the market's going to collapse and this and that. Inventory collapsed. The pricing did not collapse. Rates did not collapse.
So and realistically, like home prices, I don't believe is going to crash like 40, 50%. So if there is a dip, that's the best bet for you to get in. And keep that in mind because if you're going to wait for it to drop and tank, you're just never going to be, you're being very unrealistic. And
I'm going to tell you right now they can't. And I know that people watch this show, they're like, well, yeah, that's great in theory that they can't, Andy. Okay, then here's what I want you to say in the comments. If you are waiting for the house prices to drop 40%, when's BlackRock going to jump in? When are they going to jump in?
They've never stopped.
They're not going to wait for 40% because someone else they're competing with is going to get it at 30% off.
Yeah.
And you're going to be sitting your ass out on the sideline waiting for 40% off and you're not going to get it.
They're going to be already up and down.
And I'm not being conspiratorial. Like they're buying up property left and right. And if you don't think so, you got to take a closer look, number one. Number two, if you think they're going to wait around for a 40% drop before they just add another home to their portfolio, good luck to you. That's not going to happen. They will take a 20% drop, 25% drop. 30 is probably pushing it because there's a lot of people with money already in at 20%. 40 ain't going to happen.
And I bet you that they're playing it like, hey, it's going to go even higher. I'm probably picking this up at a discount still.
Yeah. And they're not buying a house. They're buying bulks of houses, neighborhoods, portfolios of homes. I mean, before we get in this conflict and this argument about who's smarter than the other person, it's not about that. It's that they have access to the information that they know where they want to buy, what they're buying for, how long they can hold. They can go in with cash. And if you have a purse that big too, all better for you. to be in that situation, great, go compete with them. But don't add us in the comments about it.
No, please.
You should be watching something else. You shouldn't be watching us. You got that much bag. So inventory.
I'm baffled, though.
Inventory. There's now 517,000 single-family homes on the market. That's 26% more sales now than a year ago, and we are on trajectory to have close to 700,000 homes on the market by August or September. That is awesome. That is so far beyond and better than the 250,000 homes when everything was super slow. That was very paltry.
Tumbleweeds in the market.
Yeah, and then back to the whole 20-week thing. Inventory is now expanded for 20 weeks in a row. That's where that came from. So
and that's good because a lot of this does push the social term to be like, hey, we want to buy. It's getting better because people buy off hype, and they do see the headlines and they do get excited, and then they start trickling down. One buyer that we got that was a little bit hesitant whether right now was a good time to buy. Once they got approved and they started getting out there, they saw the realities how the market really is. It's not just, hey, I'm going to go see one house. This is how it is. No, you're going to go see multiple houses. You're going to realize that the asking price might not be the best price for you to come in at because of the competition. But they're like, I'm understanding the pricing structure, how things work, the negotiations. And that's the biggest thing that I encourage people to do beforehand, because then once you get into the market, you're not going to be discouraged. You're not going to be surprised. You're not going to get thrown off because this, and that. You're going to go into it like, boom, I already know what I need to do, how I need to do it to get my offer accepted because you've been trying and you've been going out there.
Can I say one more thing on top of that?
Of course.
That's great point. I love that you just said that. There's one thing that I want to make sure everyone knows to accompany that is if you go looking for a home and you're already qualified and you love it, so does someone else.
Yeah.
Someone else loves it too. So figure out what you are going to do to get your foot across the finish line first with the seller, whether terms, conditions, something that's going to put you in an advantaged position to kind of outweigh the other bids and the other offers coming in. Because I'm telling you right now, especially in San Diego, I can't speak for every area in the country, but for San Diego, I know this to be true right now. If you fall in love with a house, someone else loves it too, and they're just as qualified. Maybe they are less qualified, but they are just as right to love the house as much as you do. So figure out for yourself and with your agent what you need to do to get your foot across the line first, not the competition.
100%. And just be open to understanding how the market is, have real expectations, and just take everything for what it is right now, because you don't know what tomorrow's going to happen. You don't know how rates are going to do, but only focus on what you can do right now.